Hi, Democrats. Hi, Scott. Hi, Democrats. Today is Wednesday, September 20th, and it's time for the Chair's Daily Live. Happy Wednesday. So, I got a couple of things I want to talk about. Real clearly, the Oklahoma Democratic Party, the organization is, we are here just to elect Democrats. We're here to elect Democrats and support Democrats once they're elected. That is our main mission, because our main mission is about our values. Well-funded public education, access to no matter your zip code, and access to economic opportunity, or in other words, job, be able to make a living. That's what the Oklahoma Democratic Party stands for. And so as I think about that, and I think, what are we doing? Because I get tons of calls about things that have nothing to do with what I just said. And what I just said is my main focus: electing Democrats and doing everything that we have to do to elect Democrats, including shoring up our voting process, making sure that we're educating voters and protecting our vote. It's the way that we educate voters on what our issues are and what bills are churning through the state. Educate voters on what elections are coming up. So that brings me to today is the last day of filing. So if you were thinking about running for office in House District 39, you now have 38 minutes to get over there and get your stuff filed at the Capitol. So far, there have been 2 Democrats who have put their name on the ballot, and that is Regan Roth and Paul Timmons. Those are 2 Democrats that are running in the special election for House District 39 over in Edmond, the seat vacated by Representative Martinez. So there is an election happening. There is already a special election going on in Lawton, that's Senate District 32. Again, we have 2 Democrats who have admitted and who are running. We have Larry Bush and Johnny Jernigan. So if you're looking for a way that you can help, if you're looking for a way to turn off the TV and stop hearing about Hunter Biden, stop hearing about how old the president is, and stop hearing about the former guy's shenanigans, what you can do now is reach out and help one of those candidates. I'm sure that they all have phone banks set up. Help them do phone banks. Gather with a bunch of your friends and drive to those communities and ask how you can knock doors. They need that help. We need to elevate the fact that there is an election that's going to be off the calendar that people are used to. The election in Lawton, the primary is on October 10th. People aren't thinking about elections in October. People aren't thinking about elections in just under 4 weeks from now. People think of elections being in June and November. We're having an election in October. So I was talking to someone earlier today about whether or not we were in an election year. Every year is an election year. Every race matters. So right now we have a special election for Senate down in Lawton, that's Senate District 32. Our candidates are Johnny Jernigan and Larry Bush. We have a special election for House District 39 over in Edmond. Our Democratic candidates thus far are Paul Timmons and Regan Roth. Those are candidates that you can be helping right now. Now, I will tell you that there are a lot of candidates who will be on the ballot in November of 2024 who are already running, who are already their voice, making sure that their districts know who they are. And so those are some candidates that you can help. I'm starting a little early this year with asking you to please pick a candidate or 2 and help them. There are a lot of school board and municipal races that filing is in December, right? We are less than 3 months away from filing because those elections are in February. There are always elections happening. And so what we have to do is stay on top of it. And what I have to do is make sure that you know that there are always elections. Elections don't just happen in November. We have to pay attention because there are always elections. Just at my house alone, my school board is up. The candidate will be filing in December and will be on the ballot in February. And one of the people who's running in my district campaigning. I've met her at several events, and that's what we have to do because we're Democrats. We have to keep raising our names and making sure that people don't forget that we're there. One of the things that we're doing as a party to make sure that we're elevating Oklahoma Democratic Party, making that people know that there is coming this Friday. We're starting the road trip to victory. This is a RV. We're going to call it a bus tour, but it's really an RV, and we're going to be driving all over the state of Oklahoma. Now, we can't possibly hit every city in Oklahoma. We can't possibly hit every county, because hitting the 11 counties that we're touching is going to take us 8 days. And that's 8 days of me traveling all over the state, me and the executive director and the special advisor to the party. We're going to be traveling all over the state, and that's 8 days away from our homes, visiting all over the state. And yes, there are cities that we wish that we could have come to. There are cities that we were planning to come to that it was we couldn't get our schedule together. But what we're trying to do with this road trip is to take the party and bring the party out into the community, out into just a lot of part of the state. Our goal with this tour is to reach out to rural Oklahoma. Rural Oklahoma feels like they've been left behind. We don't do as robust of campaigning in rural Oklahoma as Democrats, and Republicans don't even try to feel like it's a fait accompli. They are sure that Republicans are going to win in those rural counties, so they don't even try. So what we're going to do is we're going to go out and we're going to say, hey, rural Oklahoma, we're here. Here's what we believe in. What do you want us to know about? What do you want us to know about, so that we're talking about issues that affect rural Oklahoma? Other things that the party is doing. Next week in Tulsa, there's a cocktails and charcuterie event where we're going to have caterers teaching people how to make charcuterie boards, and we're going to have bartenders teaching people how to make a couple of mixed drinks. That should be fun, but it's an opportunity for Democrats to get out together and learn and do some fundraisers, but also get out and hang out among each other. And I've noticed that that's happening all over the state. Democrats are out of their houses. I'm so grateful to see that. The Democrats are out of their houses. They're out working for candidates. They're out talking to candidates. They're out talking to people. Yesterday was National Voters Registration Day, and I saw so many voters registration events all over the state. It's awesome. It is great to see Democrats doing things all over the state. In order for us to make sure that we continue to have Democrats doing more things, and Democrats to do more things, is that we're going to be doing statewide training. So one month we might do training in Tulsa. We might do training in Okmulgee, in Weatherford, in Ardmore, in Ada. We're going to take the training all over the state so that everybody doesn't always have to drive to Oklahoma City. We are going to have training in Oklahoma City because we value those Democrats as well. But we are doing everything we can to be in as many places as we can be, so that people know that there are Democrats in Oklahoma. And if you're not involved with the party and you're afraid to tell people that you're a Democrat, I think it'll be helpful if you see Democrats. But in order for us to do all of these things, it's going to take us raising some money. It's going to take the bus trip. We had to rent an RV. None of us own an RV. We're renting an RV, and we're driving over 1,000 miles to visit Democrats. We're not holding fundraisers and all out to visit Democrats. But in order to make this happen, it costs money. And so this is a time, I usually don't do a big lead up of a fundraise, but this is a time where I feel like I need to do a big lead up to a fundraise. A lot of people aren't thinking that it's election season and they're waiting until next November, but that's too late. We need to be building the infrastructure to help our candidates now. As I said, we already have candidates who are needing infrastructure, who are needing help. Those candidates is incredibly helpful, but they need some of the tools that we have, and we need to be able to help them with those tools. And in order to do that, we need to hire staff. The Oklahoma Democratic Party is down to one staff member. We have a communications director, one staff member. In order to do the things that we need to be able to hire more staff. So if you're not already a recurring donor who just automatically deducts from your checking account, once a month with a donor, I'm asking today that you sign up and you become a recurring donor. And no amount is too small. If you're thinking, I can't write you a $500 check, so I can't do anything. Please know I take $500 checks. That will help the party, but we also take $10 a month donations, $20 a month donations. Those allow us to make plans. Those allow us to do the things that we need to do and be able to forecast what we can do, what additional resources and help that we can give candidates. So go out to okdemocrats.org/donate and donate today. So I don't know if you've heard. I don't know if you've heard, but our superintendent of public instruction is testified in front of Congress yesterday. Rather than me tell you about it, I'd like to show you a clip, like his performance on the floor of yesterday. Keeping up with the video.
Mr. Waters, thank you very much for being here, Superintendent. I understand that you have your hands full with, I think, your threatened political takeover of the largest school district in your state because of their woke ideology. So let me be respectful of your time. Yes or no to my questions would be sufficient. Would you say your testimony focuses a lot on the influence of outside funding in our education system and how that undermines our public school system? It talks about the global influence, but little questions about consistency here. Would you say it is a conflict of interest to have oil and gas fracking entities and industry dictate education curriculum on the environment in your schools? Yes or no?
These are American companies that are a benefit to American economy, so I don't see any issue with them having influence in our education system.
But that's okay.
Yes, sir. Yeah, okay. They're a benefit to American society.
No, I'm just looking for consistency,
okay,
my friend. Are you aware that PragerU, the non-accredited education site for which you just announced a partnership, has received millions of dollars from oil and gas interests, and that's okay?
They promote American values and support our history without indoctrination. Yes, sir.
Which leads me to the question about, do you think public dollars should go to private entities without any transparency, without any oversight?
I think taxpayer dollars should follow a child to where the parent chooses to send a child. So I believe parents know best for kids.
What about the oversight and accountability for those dollars?
There's no better oversight than a parent having the ability to choose the school for their child. They are the best accountability officer for our children.
Well, so much for consistency. Yield back.
So he's real good at talking points. He's not real good at answering questions. He's not good at, following A to B to C. He was asked questions about consistency. If he has one rule for one industry, why not have the same rule for another industry? And all he could do was quote his talking points. This is an education issue, not my area of expertise. So in order to talk about it, I invited a former high school teacher, a current legislator, to talk about what's happening with our superintendent of public instruction in Oklahoma. Please join me in welcoming John Waldron.
Hello. Can you all see me?
We can see you being all dangerous and driving.
Okay.
Thank you for joining us.
I'm about to pull in. Thank you for having me. I'm pulling in to get my son. Hello. My son needs a haircut, and we're going to pull in right after we let this fire truck go by. Apologies.
So as you were joining, we showed a clip of the superintendent of public instruction just regurgitating his talking points of parents are the best gauge and all of that kind of stuff. But he was there to talk about Chinese language in Oklahoma schools.
Yes. Okay. I'm
talking slowly to let you park.
There we go.
Okay.
Hi.
So, so that I don't murder the topic, can you talk to us about Chinese language in
Okay. Well,
public schools in Oklahoma?
sure, I'd be happy to. Many schools in Oklahoma offer Chinese language. Jinx Public Schools, Sand Springs has a program. Tulsa, those are just 3 examples in Tulsa County. And Chinese language programs are becoming more popular all over the country. The superintendent was bringing up the urban legend that somehow the Chinese Communist Party is controlling or indoctrinating students in these language programs through something called the Confucius Institute. That idea was debunked in 2019. I think we have eliminated most or all of the Confucius program activities in Oklahoma. And in any event, programs that did exist were always administered and managed by American universities and American professors. So the idea that there ever was any Chinese government influence in Oklahoma classrooms, that was never true. It was debunked long ago, and the superintendent is bringing up a old boogeyman story to draw more attention to himself.
So that's what I always say. And I have to take a break because if I talk about the superintendent, I promised Oklahoma Democrats that if I had to talk about him, I would remind them that he's derelict in his duties. I would remind them that even though he wasn't the superintendent of public instruction at the time of the class wallet contract, he was intimately involved in the workings of class wallet. I just want to, I can't, It has nothing to do with what we're talking about now, but every time I mention him, I feel it's my duty to remind folks who we're talking about.
I call that the "where's the money" Lebowski approach. And we should always remember, we always need to remember, and we need to follow the money, because we get a lot of smoke and mirrors from this superintendent to distract us from the other terrible things that are happening, like malfeasance with public funds, or the more than 10 bomb scare threats that have been made against various schools in the Union District after the superintendent shared a doctored video that accused a Union Public School teacher of being, spreading a woke agenda. That's a really serious charge, and it's an attack on our democracy when people are empowered by state elected officials to make bomb threats against schools. And all this happens, I believe, around the 60th anniversary of the Atlanta bombing. So let's not kid ourselves and say that it's these are just people cranking on their phones.
Absolutely. So that congressperson who was questioning the superintendent, started out. I don't know if you caught it, but he started out his question with, "I'm going to respect your time because I do know that you're in the process of threatening the largest school district in your state because of woke ideology."
Mm-hmm.
Do you have, as a former teacher of Tulsa Public Schools, do you have anything to add about just that behavior?
Yeah, that was an act of aggression against an elected school board who appointed a superintendent, and it was an attack against not just the largest school district in the state, but a majority minority school district, a school district with a thriving LGBT population, and a mission to achieve equity. I'm not going to say that's a bad word. He seems to think so. But in an effort to meet the needs of every kid, Tulsa Public Schools works hard every day, and this was an act of aggression against it. I think it's unconscionable what the superintendent did to Tulsa Public Schools and what he continues to threaten to do to Tulsa Public Schools. And I'll close by saying that in his whole campaign against TPS, he never once offered any substantive help to the public school district.
Absolutely. So in our conversation today, you said that his behavior is akin to Heinz 57. Can you tell that story?
Sure, the Heinz 57 story. Superintendent Walters is a social studies teacher, and it seems to me he's using a U.S. history textbook as a playbook here. Back in the 1950s, we had a fellow named Joseph McCarthy, congressman, member of Congress, he was a senator, who claimed that there were 57 communists working inside the State Department. Actually, the number changed in different speeches, and he finally settled on the number 57, which he pulled out of thin air. The old joke is that he picked that number because that was the number on the Heinz 57 ketchup bottle. There never were 57 communists in the State Department, but he got an awful lot of attention for himself, claiming there were. He stoked up conspiracy and paranoia, and then he went to town on that. This superintendent is following a similar strategy. He accuses, he blusters, he makes up facts, and then he moves from one accusation to the next one to the next one, so that we're always blindly following the next drama he's created without looking back at the trail of chaos that he's left behind him.
And that, my friends, is why I invite John Waldron to join me. I love the expertise. I love the weird history facts that he comes up with. And I appreciate that when I ask him, he says yes. So Representative Waldron, thank you so very much for joining me. Thank you for shining some light and giving us a little bit of education about what's going on. Now go get Van a haircut.
Okay, he's already in there. Thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate you, and go Democrats.
All righty. Thank you so very much. I try to bring a little bit of enlightenment every time I come. Democrats are on the move. That we are in a position where we can make a real difference if we all commit to registering everybody we come in contact with, and every time the polling place is open. Thanks for joining me. I went a little over today. Thanks for humoring me and sticking around. And I'll see you tomorrow at 4:15.